My teacher won't say my name correctly for 2 years. When I finally stand up for myself, it leads to her getting fired. Here's a little bit of background. So I have a semi-common Hispanic first name and I'm living in the Midwest United States. People don't always pronounce it correctly. Generally speaking, I think of myself as being fairly flexible with how others pronounce it. If it's our first time meeting, I will say how it is pronounced, and as long as they get somewhat close to the pronunciation after a couple of meetings, I will let it slide and acknowledge their efforts. If we've met multiple times and they still clearly make no effort to pronounce my name correctly, that's when I start to take offense. This wasn't always the case though. Before I used to just acknowledge whatever people would call me, and after dealing with some identity issues in my teen years, like many of us do, and going to counseling, I learned to fully embrace my identity, including the correct pronunciation of my name, and was taught to stick up for myself as well. The story takes place when I was starting that transition. In my teen years while attending high school, during my freshman and sophomore year, I had a teacher that was a stickler for the rules. One of those teachers that had been teaching for 40 plus years and had her system down and wasn't going to let anyone change her way of doing things. On the first day of class, she handed out her rules and explained them to us. One of these rules included the attendance policy. Every day, right after the bell rang for the class to begin, she would go through attendance, read off your name, and when we heard our name, we were to say present. Not here, not yes, or anything else. We were to say present. Not sure why she was a stickler for that, but whatever. I had this teacher for 2 years, and for almost 2 years she would pronounce my name incorrectly. What was more confusing is she would pronounce it incorrectly in different ways each time. During attendance, she would get to my name and pronounce it incorrectly. I would then say present and my name is pronounced OP. She would then just go on to the next name, making no acknowledgement to what I just said. I would also like to add that our school was on the smaller side, with classes averaging around 80 to 90 students per grade, and most teachers only focused on 1 or 2 grades. So the average teacher would probably have to work with 100 to 150 students, and by my sophomore year, every other teacher has started pronouncing my name correctly or had already pronounced my name correctly from the beginning. It was during this time that I started developing the aforementioned identity issues and started going to counseling. The counselor pushed me to embrace who I was more and to stick up for myself as well. So that's exactly what I did. Cue malicious compliance. Close to the end of my second year with this teacher, I had had enough and also built up enough self-confidence to do something about it. The next day she went through attendance and just completely butchered my name, so I said nothing.